Hello, Red Wing Public Schools leadership team. I want to start before I forget to thank a few people. First off, my wife Diane, who knows things that are important to me and encourages me to make my dreams come true. Without her, I wouldn't be here today. Thanks, Diane. Secondly, Laura Schmidt was somebody I met while working at my university in Milwaukee and then later the Milwaukee Technical Hub, a local community technology group. And she told me about this amazing computer science program she helped set up in New Berlin, Wisconsin. And when she told me about it, I'm like, gosh, that's what Red Wing should have. And that was back in like 2018, 2019. And so I reached out to her several times through after that and suggesting how we get going in Red Wing, and it took a while. But she's really poured her heart and soul into this program here in Red Wing, both now and with the previous administration as we try to get this thing going a few times. But it's been going much better with the new administration. So thank you, Laura. Laura took the train here from Milwaukee. And then there's Bob, but we'll get to him later. So my name is Dwight Diercks. I'm a product of the Red Wing Public Schools, graduating in 1986. Al was still here. Yeah. I had a fondness for math and science and had the benefit of experiencing all that the Red Wing Public Schools could offer. I was very fortunate to go to Red Wing, which at the time was in the top 10% of the state in math and math scores, math and science. Red Wing High School definitely had a swagger to it. Our education scores were tops, and the school system just over-delivered. I was not your typical student, but I had a plan and direction to leverage my math and science to change my future. I grew up on a farm in Hay Creek and was determined to go to university. I worked 34 hours a week while in high school at Randy's and still graduated as salutatorian, while also still doing my chores on the farm. Homework usually got finished about 2 a.m., right after Baba Black Sheep was over, and ideally before Hogan Heroes started. That's all that was on TV on Channel 9. But it always got done, sometimes even after Hogan's Heroes. The experience taught me the importance of education and hard work. Red Wing school system, small class sizes and teachers, connections to students meshed well with my personality and my ability to learn. Math and science teachers like Mr. Walters, Ralph and Sherry Register, Jim Van Loon, Virgil Glebe, Bob Trandom, and especially Ron Gray, my calculus and computer science teacher, were really important to my background. Ron knew how to push me and get me to study just a little bit more. And I like to think that I knew how to push him a little bit too. After high school, I went to Milwaukee School of Engineering in Milwaukee, mainly due to their similarities to Red Wing. The class sizes were small, the teachers were very, very close. There was no PhD program, so there's no grad assistants. The teachers were the teachers. And so I chose computer science as my major. Right after university, I joined a large computer maker, Compaq, in Houston, Texas. And I spent a few years there, I learned a lot, and I ultimately followed my boss to Silicon Valley for a startup. That one didn't work out so well. And in the end, after 2 years of working 24/7, some hardcore drama, it was pretty much a bust. But my experience there led to a certain reputation, and that allowed me to meet my future boss, Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA. I spent the last 31 years at NVIDIA, and you may know us today from some of the killer 3D graphics work that we've been doing for 31 years, or the AI work that we've revolutionized in the last 15, or hopefully you maybe have a little bit of stock in your 401k, and you might know about NVIDIA, seems like these days. 15 years ago, we discovered some researchers using our computing technology to accelerate this thing called deep neural networks, kind of the foundation of AI. And they were using it like never before. We seized on the opportunity and we started to make that work better. And in the last 10 years, we've accelerated those deep neural networks by over 1 million times. Meaning something that used to take a year to accelerate is now 1 million times faster. Something that took months now takes hours. Hours takes microseconds. And so all of these revolutions in AI is possible because of it. So that now you can have things like ChatGPT, where if you're working at home at 2 a.m. and your teachers are asleep and you don't know who to call, you can dial up ChatGPT. Type in diff-EQ, and it says, I think you might want to be talking about differential equations. I'm like, I do. Would you like to learn more? Yes. Would you like a sample, here gives some explanations. Would you like a sample quiz? I would. And so try it. It's actually great. It's a great tutor, if nothing else, but that's not, we're going to do so much more here. And, along the way, 10 years ago, I looked back at my university in Milwaukee and found that their computer science program, that used to be pretty good when I graduated in 1990, had really fallen off the tracks. They had converted a once great computer science program into a software engineering degree back in the dot-com days. And the students and faculty didn't have access to the latest and greatest. At the time, was machine learning, kind of the forefront to this AI revolution. And I knew we had an opportunity to invest time, expertise, and of course money to do something that hadn't been done before. We helped create an AI-focused modern computer science program, the first in the nation, back in 2017. We didn't have the burden of having an existing computer science program that a lot of universities had trouble converting over. We get to start fresh, and we use it as a means to go fast. In 2019, we opened up Diercks Hall, our modern computer science building, with a supercomputer named Rosie, and we graduated our first class in 2021 from the Diercks, now the Diercks School of Computing. Today, the computer science program is the second largest at Milwaukee School of Engineering, and the AI Club, the club run by students, is the largest student-run club on campus. The AI Club is such a phenomenal thing to see, because now the students, back in 2017, students didn't really know how to talk about AI. Now the AI Club comes up with challenges that they challenge themselves on. They take world hunger data, they run it through AI models, and they determine where they should move the food across the world so that they could end hunger. They take CT scans from the Milwaukee School of Medicine, and they take CT scans, and they're able to do all kinds of CT detection. These are freshmen just in their spare time utilizing the AI that they've learned. And so it's so great. Nothing brings me more joy than going back about that investment and spending time with the students at our yearly AI competition that we host once a year. At Red Wing, times are different here also. Students have more unique challenges, as does the district. There's budget deficits, test scores, and enrollment are all real challenges facing the district. But such is life. And so I was excited to hear about Bob's hiring last year. As Bob said, I reached out before he officially joined. And I asked him, hey, Bob, tell me about your computer science department. He told me, let me get back to you. I'll have to check you up on this. And finally, he came back, and this is what I loved about Bob, was Bob said, he came back, he goes, so I looked into this. Basically, I'm going to paraphrase now. He said it more eloquently. But basically, we got nothing. I knew that was the answer. and having gone through a little bit of frustration maybe previously, before Bob, it was exciting to hear that, because if we could understand where we were, we can understand what we can change. And so we don't have a computer science program to burden us. On one hand, we wish we had one. On the other hand, we don't have one. So we get to go invent something new. We get to create this advantage to be the first in the nation in a school system focusing on AI, but not just AI, but programming for those that are going to go into programming, data for those that are going to basically live the next 50 years of their life. Everyone's going to use AI. It's used for everything, whether you're farming, whether you're in medical, whether you're in, you name it, every degree has it. Farmers are putting data collections on their cattle. We're working with John Deere to invent new farming equipment that use everything from picking strawberries. You have to pick exactly the right strawberry at the right time. Or you can, instead of the old days when we used to put the weed sprayer out, we'd basically put the weed sprayer out, turn it on, and drive through the fields. Now they go through, cameras detect where the weeds are, they spot spray, and it just waste as little pesticides as possible. And even the latest thing from John Deere now actually uses a micro, almost like it basically burns the weed on target, and so without creating fire. And so there's all kinds of AI technology advancements. Working with Mayo Clinic, Mayo is doing all kinds of great work with generative AI for individual cancer detection, and then ultimately individual cancer cures. And there's different unique things they can do based on all the data that comes in and applying a unique and possible cure with AI. And so we're working with all the medical companies in the world that are using everything from drug discovery to cancer detection. It's all fueled by this work in AI. The one way to think about this is ultimately leveraging AI will be important to all the students and allow all the high school students to create AI businesses if they so desire, leveraging the domain knowledge of their choice, whether that be anything from business to farming to medical to you name it. Many startup companies are created these days by people with a dream, people that know how to program. And with AI, you could be a programmer. You could be like me and you could learn how to program and go on to be a great software engineer. Or you use AI. If software is automation, AI is the automation of automation. You can now program, even if you've never had a programming course, by speaking to the computer in whatever language you speak. And the computer creates code. Maybe there's issues. Maybe, like Bob said, it doesn't replace software engineers, but it augments them. Nobody starts creating software anymore by sitting down and typing. You start first with an AI model. Just to put it in perspective, we check in about a third more code per day with AI than we did without at NVIDIA, which means all of our engineers are that much more productive. So instead of starting there and sitting down and starting to type, you start with an AI model, fills in all the grunt work of coding for you, and then you augment from there. It makes everyone a more productive engineer if you're using AI. At Red Wing Public Schools, opportunity to transform AI computing education is taught in primary school. While other school systems will be waiting for government funding, financing, and policy making, we're going to get started. And we're going to have a head start, and we're going to be able to create this first in the nation system. And along the way, if we get our math and science scores up a little bit, maybe back in the top 10% goal, or we transform Red Wing Public Schools into the space that we deserve and make it a destination education location, we can fully bring back our swagger. Although you guys looked like you had a lot of swagger this morning. That was great. You are the education experts. We could not have done what we did in Milwaukee without the hard work of dedicated professors, administrators, and identifying many great innovative ideas or problems that we could go attack. So when these opportunities were found, we found ways to accelerate them and or pour gasoline on the fire. We can do this at Red Wing Public Schools. We need to do this at Red Wing Public Schools. It's where I started and where our next generation will come from. It will ultimately define the success of our investment. And I keep using the word investment. People call it a donation. We're investing because donation is money that we give and it will ultimately just get spent. We want this to truly be an investment, and we believe 5 years from now, in 2030, this will last, hopefully, forever. And so, hence, it'll be a great return on investment. So, from my wife Diane and I, we truly emphasize that we are committed to making this success with you. We're proud to have invested in all of you and the Red Wing Public Schools, and we look forward to the greatest returns that will come ahead. That investment will be parlayed by all of you educators and administrators, and if we do this right, the ROI from our students for the years to come will be priceless. Good luck. Let's do this. Go Wingers.